Well, good afternoon to everyone watching. This is the Beyond the Arc Coaches Show. We are live from Tech Zone today on December 22nd, closing up on Christmas. I am your host, Brandon Hurley, with the Jefferson Herald, sports editor. And today we're going to do something a little different. We're doing a kind of first half season recap for boys and girls basketball. I'll be joined by girls basketball head coach, Greene County head coach Dean Lyons. And then later, after we speak with him, we'll talk with boys head coach Chris Nelson. We're the girls about 10 games in.
Yes, 10
games in. Unfortunately, they're on a 6-game losing streak, but
well, thanks for reminding me that.
it's been a brutal schedule, probably one of the toughest schedules in the state. Maybe in several years, it's got to be one of the toughest schedules. 4 of their 6 losses have been against teams ranked in the top 10. But at the same time, they haven't been able to find the scoring. You guys have been kind of struggling as of late, kind of averaging under 30 points. It's been tough shooting the ball, and then you also had a chance to play at Wells Fargo Arena last Friday. So let's first of all just start off with that. I know the game it was a tough game. You played Rolling Story, who's a very good top 10 ranked team. So coming out of that, what do you think your girls learned most just from that experience?
Well, it was a great experience, first of all. It was an excellent opportunity to go down there and play on that big court and where they play the state games and everything. But I think we learned that, we got a long ways to go. We'd like to be like that team someday. But, we play these tough teams, and you're correct. I've never seen a schedule. I've never played a schedule like this, and I've coached a long time. But it is what it is. We have to move to go on. But what we talked about after our last game against Boone was our first 5 games. I thought we played really well. I thought we were in every game. We were averaging close to 45, 46 points. And what are we going to do to get back to that point? And so we talked about that, and we talked about the last 5 games, and we got a lot of work to do over when we come back from Christmas break.
So just from my standpoint, it seems during this losing streak, it seems at times you guys have struggled with the defensive pressure of teams and being able to hold on to the ball and kind of get good shots. Is that something that you think has been kind of a key difference there?
That's most definitely. If you look at the first 5 games, there was some pressing, and we beat it, and we had some success. But, when you play the better teams, to notch it up a little bit. And you're right, we put a little pressure. We made some bad passes, forced some. I don't know if we forced so much shots. It was maybe a quicker shot than what we wanted to. And we have to learn to break that press, or it's going to be that way. Now, coming back right after Christmas, we have some teams that we can beat, and we're going to work over the press over Christmas break, and hopefully that'll help.
So early in the season, when you guys did fall down, you were able to kind of make a comeback, make it a game, and even pull out some victories. But lately, it seems once you guys have fallen down, it's almost as if you kind of you didn't give up, but
right.
You weren't able to make any sort of comeback.
I think you're exactly right. I think what's come out of these last 4 or 5 games is we're kind of mentally beat up and a little physically even beat up a little bit. I think back in their minds are thinking maybe the last couple of years when this happened, and when you lose 1 or 2, then you start thinking, and sometimes thinking is not a good thing. And we just gotten on that bad roll, and we just weren't playing like we were the first 5 games. And do I think we can get back to that? Oh, yes, most definitely. Is it going to take hard work? Yes, it is. But you're exactly right. They pressed us, and we struggled breaking the press. And then the whole thing was our offense. The first 5 games we had 4 or 5 girls involved in our offense. And now, they put a little extra 1 or 2 girls on Lauren, and we just haven't been able to someone else to step up and make the shots.
So, speaking of that offense, what do you think you need to do to be able to kind of get that offense going again? At the beginning of the season, that's kind of what kept you in games, got the wins, and now you're having a lot of struggle scoring the ball.
Most definitely. Thanks for reminding me of all of this. I have nightmares anyway, but no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. We just got to get back with the confidence. I think we're lacking confidence right now. I mean, like I said, mentally we're down a little bit. We have to get that back. We have to get a win. I mean, winning helps. And so I think we need to go back when we come back after Christmas with practice and really work on I'm going to have some other people come in and press us, make it a little tougher for us, and we're going to work on the offensive end and try to get those girls. We do have open shots, but sometimes I think where girls are a little tentative to take them, and we just got to shoot the ball. We can't score unless we shoot the ball.
and we talked about what an experience like was playing at Wells Fargo, but also what do you think your girls can gain from a schedule like this where you're playing top 10 team after top 10 team? And I know you didn't come out on top, but is there something you guys can take away from a schedule like that?
Well, yeah, we had a meeting and we talked about that, and I think one thing, and if they agree, and they seem to agree with us about it, was if we can play these top 10 teams and not come out too mentally or physically beat up, when we play the teams that we can win, it should help us in the long run. I mean, playing tougher competition should pay off when you play maybe teams at your level or maybe a little subpar, and hopefully that will pay off playing these tough teams. And I think the Christmas break came at the great time for us. I mean, it gave us a chance now to not think about basketball for 4 or 5 days and then come back and work hard, and I think these girls will.
So speaking of that break, and speaking of that offense, are there any other girls that you're going to look to try to kind of lean on for extra scoring? I know Lauren's kind of one of your main scorers, but are there some other girls that you want to kind of step up?
Well, yes, most definitely. If you looked at the first 5 games when we won and were competitive, we had Lauren, of course, but we had Bailey Cunningham. She was up there. Sammy Hardaway. We like to get Annika down low, a little bit better. Cassie Lamore at times has hit some nice outside shots. So really, we got the girls. It's the same girls as it was the first 5 games. We just need to get them back involved in the next, these next 5 coming up, the rest of the season actually. And I think if they can hit some shots, then the opponent's defense will have to play everybody instead of just Lauren. In the long run, we'll be better for that.
Mm-hmm. So halfway through the season, I know we've unfortunately touched on some of the negatives, but are there some things that you think you can take away that are positive through this first half of the season and kind of take it through the rest of the season?
Oh, most definitely. Like I said, I keep going back to this meeting we had, and we talked about it, and I told them, I said, remember how it felt those first 5 games? How we were winning games. We beat Perry. We were competitive. Remember how that felt? We all talked about how they felt, and I said, now you remember how you feel these last 5, and we kind of talked about it. And I said we have to make that commitment to get back to the way of the first 5, and I'm not just saying this. Surprisingly, I mean, they were all on board. They haven't jumped ship yet, and I think we just have to instill in them that we can still be like we were the first 5, but it's going to take hard work to get that ship going the right way again.
So we mentioned those top 10 teams. 3 of them are in the Heart of Iowa Conference. So have you ever seen the Heart of Iowa Conference kind of this top heavy in your time been coaching?
No. I mean, girls-wise, it's tough. I mean, I've never seen this conference as tough as it is now for the girls. I mean, even the teams that were subpar are better this year. I mean, it's just the conference is just taking a boost girl-wise, and there's no easy games. And definitely the top 3 girls teams in the conference, I've never seen that. No, It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Boone was not in your conference, but you played 11 last night, and it was tough sledding all the way. You scored your season low, but so what do you think was kind of the difference there? Was it their height mainly and kind of their quickness that kind of?
Well, I think the height really hurts us. I mean, we don't have anybody tall. They have 2 or 3 girls, and we tried to go to zone to defend it, and they just kept pounding it down. And then I thought we did all right sometimes, but then their guards are quick, and they set that press on us and kind of an up tempo, and we didn't get back a few times, and it kind of escalated, and we couldn't get shots off, and girls were frustrated, and I'm not gonna lie to you, as a coach, you get frustrated too, because we can play better, and we know we are better than this, but we talked about it, and it's sad that we have to end before Christmas all in the negative, but I try to teach them we have a lot of positives too, and let's go back to try to get the positives more than the negatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the win over Perry that we touched on before, and 3-1 start, something that
long time. Yeah,
and you're already hovering on that 4-win total that you had last year. So yeah, there are positives, and it's a long season, and we still have lots.
That's right.
Lots of left. So what do you think kind of will be the key to kind of turning things around after break and kind of getting some more momentum?
Well, most definitely. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's going to be our first 3 ball games. We play Woodward Granger on a Thursday, and then we go to South Hamilton, and we come back with Sadell, which are more than 3 capable wins. We have to, let's be honest, we don't try to sugarcoat anything. We have to, get 3 or 2 of those. I like to get 3. We're more capable to get all 3 of them. And we get that. If you think about it, if we get that, and all of a sudden now we're 3 and 7, and all of a sudden we're 6 and 7. and then everybody's feeling good about themselves. So the key is not going to lie. It's going to be that first week and a half. We have to, run the tables, and if we can run the tables, the confidence comes back. Everybody's having fun again, and we're 6 and 7. And everybody's going, "Wow, that's not a bad record for the girls." Considering what the way it has been in the past. So I think the key, like what you asked, is that first week, and we have to produce some wins that first week.
And speaking of those winnable games, one of the winnable games you had was against Southeast Valley, and you didn't come on top. And I know you guys were frustrated with that. So what do you think, in a game that you guys can win, what do you think you can do to be able to eventually come out on top and win those games that you are supposed to win?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. That was I didn't sleep very well. I mean, that was a game that, I'm not going to lie to you. We're a better team than that, and we should have won. We could have won, but give credit to Southeast Valley. They came out and did what it took to win. We're not good enough yet to just take it for granted. Now, do I think our girls thought we could? I don't know. We had 2 tough games before that. I think we were down a little bit. It was on a Monday night. We did play Nevada the next night, and we played a little bit better, I felt, and the effort and everything. So I think the main thing is not taking anybody for granted. And if we can do that and get some things rolling, I think then the confidence will come. The schedule's what it is. We can talk about it, and it is a rough schedule. I mean, it totally is, but we have to play them anyway. It's what it is, and we're going to learn from it.
So we mentioned this, the holiday break a little bit, and so there is a big gap with no competitive games. So in your coach's experience, what have you done with the girls to be able to keep them motivated and keep them focused on the schedule ahead?
Well, we'll have a scrimmage and have some teams come in, and we usually have a scrimmage. Some teams kind of backed out, but we're trying to get some other teams in there. What we're going to do is when we come back next Wednesday, we're going to act like it's the first day of practice, the very first day. So we will be doing things that we've done the very first day of practice, and we're going to try to get that mentally picture like we had early on that we can win. And, and we'll go from there. We're going to add some new things in. I'm going to have some people come in and maybe press a little tougher. So we're going to mix it up a little bit, but we actually are going to go back to day one and start all over again and just build everybody's confidence back up, and then hopefully we can keep it going then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and there's, at this point in time, what can you really do? I mean, I've always liked to come back from the first day and kind of just refresh them. You only had 5 days off and refresh them. And a lot of it not so much physically right now, it's mentally right now because, that tough spell. And we got to get them mentally back that we can win ball games. And if we can do that, like I said, we're going to win some ball games.
So speaking of kind of letting it loose mentally, we'll make a quick transition here to, since it is the Christmas season and the holiday season, we'll lighten it up a little bit and kind of be a little more informal. I had a question that I'm going to ask both you and Chris today. Considering that it is Christmas, what has been maybe your favorite gift that you've ever received? And it could be birthday, it could be Father's Day, it could be Christmas. Just kind of what's something that you just always have cherished that you got? It could be as a little kid or it could be as a father. Or
oh boy, you put me on the spot here. I mean, I've had a lot of great gifts. I'm a kid at heart. Probably one of the greatest gifts I ever had, and I still have, is I'm a big Planet of the Apes fan. When I was a little kid, I grew up with Planet of the Apes, and I loved the Planet of the Apes, and I was given a Planet of the Apes bank and a cup and a plate. I still have that, and I have that hanging in my house. My wife would like to hide it, but I still have it in the house. So, that's tough, but the Planet of the Apes thing was really good when I was young, and then as I got older, being a big Hawkeye fan, my family has given me a lot of Hawkeye stuff, but the Planet of the Apes, I go back to when I was a kid, and I even like looking at the bank, still, and I get the cup out and drink out, but I would say that was it.
That's fun.
There. Yes.
So on the flip side of that, what would you say is probably the coolest gift that you've ever given someone over the years?
I will be honest with you, that's an easy one. I gave my wife a gift. We've been married almost 30 years now, and about 5 years ago, she's never been anywhere. She always wanted to go out of the country, and I surprised her with a gift to Cozumel, Mexico.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was awesome. And I was not in the doghouse for a while, so that was just seeing her face and how excited she was about that was probably the gift I'll always remember to anybody that I ever gave.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so one final question here.
Oh, my goodness.
Being that it is kind of the Christmas season, the holiday season, what's your favorite part of the holidays? I know as a coach you get that little break, but outside of that, what's kind of your favorite part? the family, the food, the sports. What to you, when you think of the Christmas holiday season, what just pops out in your mind?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a family guy. I love my kids. I love my family. And as you get older, and they get older and they go to college and they go away, you really appreciate your family a lot better. And just my family, fortunate enough, lives close to me. But even having them home at Christmas, all my kids, my 4 kids and my wife, and just at home, we're dysfunctional. We love it. We're always just doing something, breaking something at home, or just dysfunctional things. So probably I would say the family, and going to my parents' house, just to be around the family, because, I don't want to get wishy-washy here, but you never know how long your parents are going to be around, or grandparents. So I would definitely say just going to see my family is, the food's great and the presents are great, but I'm to the point where presents are okay, but it's my family I want to see. So I would say my family.
Yeah, my grandparents, for the longest time, they're always like, they weren't worried about dying, but they were worried about selling their house. So probably for 10 years straight, they're like, this might be our last Christmas at our house.
Yes.
And so I know what that's like, and it's fun to just be around the family.
Yeah.
Get a nice break from work.
You never know how long they're going to be, and forget your work, and just have a good time.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say to me?
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I just want to tell the people that are listening that don't forget about us. I mean, we're going to be back. I understand it's not fun watching this right now, but I think that you'll see these girls working hard, and just give us another chance, and I think we'll be there, and that's about it.
And your next game, when's your next game after break?
It's that Thursday, and I think it's the 4th. I think it's 4th. It's actually in town here against Woodard Granger, so I'd like to see everybody hopefully come out. It's just a girls' game, so maybe just come out and watch the girls, and see if we can win you back.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks
you
very
a lot,
much.
Dean. Appreciate it. Chris, are you around here?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, while Chris Nelson is working his way over here, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Of course, we're coming here to you live. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it a lot.
You bet.
Coming to you live from Tech Zone, and also one of our other sponsors is Doc Stadium, and also Moo Meats. We're coming up on kind of the first semester at the end of the football show and the basketball show. It's been a fun endeavor, but without those 3 sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do this, and of course, we wouldn't be able to do it without the Greene County Athletic Department, Mitch Moore, of course, and Dean, and sitting here to my right, Chris Nelson. So as we transition into that, this is, of course, Chris Nelson, the Greene County boys head coach. They're off to a 6-2 start. They, as recently as last night, they had a 4-game win streak, and then unfortunately they lost to Boone. But so they've won 4 out of the last 5, and uncharacteristic compared to last year, they're doing it more on the defensive end. And I know as you just talking to you like to see that your guys are doing it defensively. The threes haven't been coming this year. You're shooting under 30%, but when the time is needed, even in last night's game, when you needed to lock down on defense, you've been doing that. So let's just start with last night's game.
Sure.
You guys fell down 16. Mainly a lot, from my point of view, just a lot of turnovers, kind of leading to a lot of their breaks. They had a big run, and you guys weren't able to score. But then you switched to that zone kind of 3/4 court. What was it, a box and one, or was it
1-2-2?
1-2-2.
Something we ran of late.
And it seemed to be working. It was confusing Boone, and you guys were forcing a lot of turnovers, and kind of keyed that comeback.
Yeah, we did. We mixed it up between a 2-2-1 3/4 and a 1-2-2, and kids really executed well. We haven't run our 2-2-1 a whole lot. We call it Wichita, and it was nice to be able to do that pretty efficiently. And obviously the Villanova is our 1-2-2, or we call it Nova, and we've run that more, and that's really helped us a lot. It helped us against Nevada. Just gives a different look, because I know that after the PCM game we needed to find some other things as well, not just play man. And so I thought we did a really good job the second half. About the mid of the third quarter, then the fourth quarter, I thought we really did a lot of good things, and but we can't come out with the way our intense. I think the disappointing thing for me was we just came out flat, like this intensity. We just weren't
struggled to score at the beginning.
It took a little bit to score. Finally got going. Even had a little bit of a lead for a short spurt, and then really, I don't know what happened the second quarter. Had a little bit of a talking to at halftime, and then kids came out and responded pretty well, and we made it an interesting game at the end. And fortunately, some things didn't go our way, and they made a couple free throws when they needed to, and that kind of sealed it. But it's a good learning experience for us. We start out the way we have been this year and know we can. Maybe it becomes a little bit different towards the end of the game.
Do you think just from my perspective watching, do you think you guys struggled with Boone's length last night? It seemed that for a while you guys couldn't get into the lane, and they were actually having kind of a little bit of ease getting interior buckets. So do you think that was a big difference in that start?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say we were intimidated by any means, because we're not. I think we were a little timid. 6'7", 6'4", that can move fairly well. I wanted to attack a lot more, and we didn't do that. When we got back in the game one against Nevada, we really attacked the lane on the dribble or got post touches, and we just kind of were reserved and didn't really attack like I was hoping would, and we did a better job the second half with that. But if we could have handled that better early on in the first half, it could have been a little bit different. And not saying that we would have won by any means, but it definitely brings a different dimension to the second half.
So in your last two games, you've had big comebacks. Kind of one against Nevada, you came out on top in the fourth quarter, shutting them down defense, and you almost came back last night. So what does this show? These last two games, what does this show tell you about this team this year?
Well, two things. One, our kids don't have any quit. Like they will battle. They did not get rattled. They easily could have last night. They easily could have against Nevada. Which to me is a nice thing to see, because sometimes last year that we kind of struggled with that. But they're starting to also figure out our defensive part of it. But it also too shows us that our consistency through four quarters it's not there yet. Like we've shown it in some games, but to do it every night, we still got to keep improving on that.
Yeah, and speaking of that defensive part, I know last season a lot of times when you guys got down, the defense would kind of get lax, and then the deficit would balloon. But this year it seems once you guys got down, you realize, oh crap, we need to get to go and lock down and make sure this doesn't get done. So what do you think has been the key into that kind of defensive effort so far, first half of the season?
Well, again, we've really harped on it a lot. We harped on it last year, and they're hearing it all again. So it might be as simple as kids like, well, we're never going to hear the end of it, so we might as well do it. So, but I really think, honestly, our kids are figuring out, if we play really good as a unit on defense, to me that helps us a little bit on offense, or should, and we'll get better as offense, whereas as the season goes on, that's what usually happens. Defense is what's got to start from the beginning. And like I said, our team, our guys gel really well together. They get along really well together, and I think that's another thing that helps on defense, because we've got each other backs. Our help side and just previous work up to this point has also helped. So they're buying in, they're learning it on the go still, but they're seeing how it makes a difference in our games, and I think it'll just continue to get better.
And one thing I touched on it in one of my stories this week was talking a lot about the bench. You got Ben Brevard and Carter Morton who have made a big difference with just their energy and their ability to score and play some defense. So how big, I know we've touched on it a lot, but how big has the bench performance been so far first half of the season?
Well, it's been excellent. I mean, we knew that Carter and Ben could really help us out. Like I said, offensively, they are willing to step in confidently, hit shots. And that's kind of their role. They're not coming in to be offensive juggernauts out there. They're there to, if they're open, we want them shooting balls, shots. We want them attacking the hoop. But defensive is where they really make a big difference for us. They just play with a lot of energy, and there's sometimes we just come out flat, and we need to have that. And sometimes they just give us a shot in the arm, and it really helps. And like I said, they've been excellent there. And Ben Wilkins, he may not get as many minutes, but he comes in and does his role excellent as well. He kind of spells Wade and gives him breaks, and he's played a little bit more lately because Wade unfortunately has been in a little bit of trouble. But he brings it on the defensive side off, and he might not be as gifted offensively as Wade, but he rebounds really well. He does his role, sets good screens, like I said, plays hard nonstop. And all three of those guys do, and that's what we really need out of our bench, and I think they'll continue to do that.
So I know we talked about Trey Hino's struggles earlier in the year, but he seemed to has kind of turned it around. I know I've talked to you a little bit about it, but what do you think has been key to his resurgence in the last couple of weeks and getting it going again?
Well, he's just playing. I think the week he struggled, he's overthinking things, putting too much pressure on himself, forcing some things. But like the Nevada game to me is a perfect example of what kind of player Trey Hino could be. He just literally kind of just took the game over. Like we had some struggles in some other areas. He came out, handled the ball, made shots when he needed to, got other guys open, and then defensively he played really well as well. And that's I think the biggest thing that Trey is continuing to figure out is regardless how his offense is going, he needs to play really good defense because he's very capable, and he shows it. But it's got to be more consistent. And like I said, when he's playing at his best, we become a lot different team. Obviously, if we're all playing our best, we're really good. But it's nice to see him get out of that little funk and get going in the right ways. He did it positively, kept working at it, and I think he'll just keep. He's just like the rest of it. We're going to keep getting better as I think the year rolls on.
To me, it looks like, and other guys on the teams just in the last week or so have become kind of more patient on offense. They're waiting for the shot and still, instead of trying to kind of force it, taking long jumpers, they're kind of letting it come to them. And it's still, the shooting's struggling a little bit, but it's looking better. The offense is looking better to me.
Right, it's better. It's when we get paint touches, I think we get really, really effective. And like I said, one of the main reasons besides defense against Nevada is that we really attacked them and got easy touches to Wade. Trey got to the hoop. Lance was getting the hoop. Joe had some nice looks. Ben, Carter, JP, all those guys can do that. And some of our offensive struggles, I think, we've got a lot of options. I think sometimes guys want to be that number one option, which is a great mindset to have, but we can't have four guys running around with being if it's your night, we're going to get you the ball. If it's not, we're still not going to say you can't score. We don't want you to score, but we got to be a little more patient when it's not maybe going our way. And our kids are getting that, and we'll get better with that as well. But I think the more movement we get, when we struggle is when we either come down and we one pass shoot it, attack without any entry passes, or we just start standing. And when we start attacking and moving off of our attacks, we become really tough. And last night, a little bit in the Boone game, we had some lull where we were just standing and watching. And I know someone I was open. Well, great, you might be open, but you still need to move if you don't get it right away. And our kids will continue to learn that, and I think it'll just get better.
You think it's a case of kind of more of on offense, not really thinking about it, but just seeing something and making the next pass or making the next move instead of trying to I need to go here or I need to drive here. Just find that open guy and
our
let
offense,
it go.
There's not a lot of restrictions to it. I mean, there's some movements that we want. When we run Valley, it's a lot of cutting and some ball screens and 41 motions, a lot of cutting and moving. But we just got to play within what we want them to do and then together. Sometimes I think we try to get a little too one-on-one, try to do things. But we just got to go with play together in a flow of the game. And then once we figure that out, I think our points obviously will go up a little bit more. But to me, as long as we're scoring more points than the other team, if it's 40-20 or 82-40, I mean, it doesn't matter as long as, in my opinion, that's what we tell the kids. The most important stat of the game is, do we have more points than the other team? And luckily, right now, that's been on our side most of the time.
So one of the things that the last night's loss didn't have an effect on was your guys' conference record. After losing to PCM, you've strung some conference wins together, and you're right there in the thick of the race, tied with PCM, just a game and a half behind South Hamilton. So how important do you think that stretch after PCM was to kind of get things back on track and make sure you're still in the thick of the race?
Well, it's important. I mean, one loss is not going to hurt you, not that early in the season anyway. But just to get back at some momentum and get going in the right direction, that's why Rolling Story and North Polk are really important games. To me, just for a mindset, a mentality part, and then obviously taking care and getting a big win at Nevada, it sets up, a nice right after the break game with South Hamilton. So it's nice to continue to be there. Our kids know that feeling kind of because we were in that situation a little bit last year. And it didn't necessarily go our way, so I know that's probably in the back of their minds. So as long as we continue to do our things, I think we'll hang right around and we'll find out where we're really at coming out of break when we go up to South Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. So I know we've probably touched on it maybe a little bit, but so far, first half of the season, what would you say is probably your biggest takeaway of this team so far?
Biggest thing is I really have been impressed about how we continue to play together as a team. And we don't get rattled. Even when we played a pretty poor third quarter against PCM, there's no quit. We'll continue to play, and we got it to 8 at one time. And then of course, some shots don't fall and so forth. But even like Nevada, even like Boone last night, our kids are not going to quit. And it's not that we never don't play hard. It's just sometimes we could probably play harder. But that's a big thing to know, that we can be in games. Like, we always find a way to continue to stay in games regardless of the outcome, but we're always there in the end, and having opportunities is great, especially as the season wears on. And each of those games that we have, we'll learn from, and hopefully we do the right things so that we can win a lot of those at the end, and that should hopefully be a good confident builder come tournament time, which that's a ways away still in February. But really like that, and like I said, our defense is continually to improve, and that's the other big thing that I'm really enjoying out of our kids, and we've got the depth I like as well.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of those close games and kind of gritting your way through it, you have one more game tonight. It's a 4-game week in 5 days. So if you could come out of this week with a 3-1 record, what do you think kind of tone does that set for the rest of the season?
Well, to me, it's huge because going into break 7-2 is a lot better than 6-3. Not that 6-3, there's nothing shabby about that, but to me, it'd be a little heartbreaking just because we go in with a 2-game losing streak. But obviously, Perry's a nice team. They're athletic, they're quick, very similar to what we're going to do size-wise and kind of how they play. But to me, it's a huge momentum builder if we can go in getting 3 out of 4, just for the psyche of our team and going into our, really puts more pressure on our break practices and getting ready for that South Hamilton game. I mean, obviously tonight and last night don't have any consequence on that game or whatever, but it's still, anytime you can get ways to win games and win them, it's a huge momentum builder for us. And, hopefully we come out well tonight. I think we will. And like I said, if we can get a good 4 quarters, which they know that's what we're going to ask out of them, really, to me, we get to win tonight. It'd be really 3.5 games we played really well. We just had not a real great first half against Boone.
Yeah, and we kind of going off that, we kind of touched on it already. This stretch this week and mostly throughout the season, it's shown that you can still win games without playing your perfect A-plus game. You still haven't had a game where you've had it all together, shooting going well, defense going well. So when you can get that going, where do you see this team going if you can kind of get that all together?
Well, like I said, we haven't played, the perfect game, which is really tough to do, but we've shown that we can play some really good spurts. North Polk is probably as good a complete game as we've had. Nevada showing how to finish, and Boone give them a run. Obviously, we want to keep going forward, and hopefully we're playing our best basketball at the end of the season, which I think we're on that right momentum or that right step towards that. And depending where we get put in districts and so forth. I mean, regardless where we get put, I think we can really do some good things come tournament time. Obviously, come tournament, it's a lot about how you play that night, not necessarily the season, and some luck has to go your way as well. But we keep taking care of the things that we know we can take care of, playing as one unit. And like I said, the offense, I believe, will continue to just get better and better, and the defense is getting there. And that's got to be a staple of ours, and I think we can really push for some big things come tournament time.
Yeah, definitely. And we touched on Perry already, but that's your opponent tonight at 7:30. So what are you expecting from the men offensively, and what do you think you have to do to kind of stop them?
Well, Perry's a completely different team than they were last year. Last year, I had some big guys down low, and at least for sure one big guy, and they're not near as big in size-wise, so they're going to play a lot faster. They'll look to press some. They'll switch up their half-court zones. Offensively, they'll space it out. Their point guard, the Ivory kid, is a talented kid, and when he gets in the full court, you better watch out. So we got to make sure that we find him and find him early and make him work. I know, watched film on him last night. He had 30 against Ogden. And his jump shot has gotten better, but we got to make him a jump shooter. And if he happens to make him, he makes them, but at least we're going to contest. But we can't let him get up and down the floor we like to play up and down, no doubt about it, but we got to make sure we recognize where he's at. And then there's a couple other kids that they've got that are solid players that are playing quite well for them. And I know they've had a few struggles here and there, but they've shown that they can play good teams and play them tight and tough. And we got to be ready to go. I mean, having the 4th game of the week is, it's not an easy thing, but it's not an excuse. And if we want to get better, we got to learn how to handle tough things, and this is part of it, and I think we'll be ready to go.
Do you think having an emotional rivalry game right before the break, do you think that benefits your team?
It might. I'm glad we had school today. I mean, I'm sure the kids aren't excited that we had school today, but I'm a big believer in staying in routine, and having that school day today is nice. And I know because Perry did not have school today, but so it's a huge thing to to stay in that rhythm and that routine, and I think we'll treat it like a normal game. Obviously, Perry, a rival, there'll be some emotions and stuff. We got to make sure we keep those in check and do our things, and I think we'll be okay.
So I touched on this with Dean a little bit, but during that break, what do you do as a coach to keep your guys engaged and keep them focused on the remainder of the schedule?
Well, we're going to work on different things. We're going to continue to do some tweaking, but we're going to really we're going to find a handful of things that we really want to hang our hat on, and really probably get really particular with things and point out things and be really critical on what we want to do. So when we get to tournament time or close games late in the season, we know that these are our go-to things we can come to. And then we've got a scrimmage as well. Like to get a scrimmage set up sometime, just because after a while it gets old playing against your own buddies. So we'll go to Kemper. We've got 3 teams we'll play over there that are really nice. Obviously, we've played in Kemper already once. Nice to be good to play them again. And Ballard, who's kind of surprised me and got a very nice team. And then AHST Avoca, which is a 2A school that I'm glad is there, because depending on where they send us, we can see them. So that'll be a good test for us as well, and see what some of the changes and tweaks and demands that we got over our practices leading up to that, what we can do against somebody other than ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for kind of the basketball-related portion of this. You probably heard me talking to Dean a little bit about the Christmas season. So for you, what would you say is probably your favorite gift as either a child or as an adult that you've received over the years?
I've gotten lots of things. Anything golf for me is big. Mm-hmm. My wife thinks I've got enough golf things as is, and I get it. I get golf things probably more than I need to. But that right now, for me, anything from my kids is a real big thing. Anything, I know last night I got something from get home late and get some gifts from them from daycare, which they do and stuff. So it's really cool to have that. As a kid, I remember just getting a pair of Nike basketball sneakers. Being a big basketball guy, just like we always had nice. These shoes, but like these Nikes, like I really wanted, and they showed up and got them, and thought I played pretty well in them anyway, and wore them out, that's for sure. But anything sports related is usually a pretty big thing, and I really enjoy.
Yeah, us sports guys are pretty easy to shop for. You just get us something sports related, team related, and we'll be happy.
I do get particular on some things. I know my wife Katie says, you don't have to be so specific, and I was like, well, I really want this. I'm going to be as specific as I can. But no, I really enjoy the Christmas season, and it'll be a nice little break too for our kids and stuff to get away and just let basketball go, regardless of how it goes tonight, and just enjoy our families and stuff, because that's the most important thing. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of families and gift giving, what would you say is probably the coolest gift that you've given someone over the years?
Gosh, I'm probably a terrible gift giver, so I'm
not much better myself.
I don't know for sure. I know a couple years ago, I know Katie wanted a KitchenAid mixer thing, which is really nice. I know that was something I felt pretty cool about getting her, because she did not expect that, because we told ourselves we have limits on what we want to do, and I, of course, broke that rule pretty fast. But other things, and just shopping for Trice and Nora is a really cool thing to get those, and really excited to see now that they are a little bit bigger and they kind of get what's going on. It'd be really cool to see what their facials and stuff when they see it and so forth.
That's the fun part. Yeah, my son's right about that age where he's starting to understand the gift, so I'm excited for him his eyes to light up and see what he got.
They've been asking for a while, can we open this? Can we open that?
My son's the same way.
Got to keep waiting on that a little bit.
So kind of going off that, and I might have a good inkling of what your answer is, but what's your favorite part of the holiday season, having that break and just kind of...
is just getting a chance to hang out with family and friends and a little bit of a break. I love basketball, and I know our kids love it, but a little break here and there is not going to ever hurt you.
It can be a grind, and
especially after this week, I'm not even playing, and I'm a little exhausted, and obviously with a lot of the mental things and preparation, I know our kids are be excited for a little bit of break and getting away from school and stuff, but just spending time with family and friends. I'm really excited to hang out with Katie and Trice and Nora. Obviously, they put a lot of sacrifice into it, because I don't get to see them as much, and it kind of stinks, but that's kind of part of the gig. But just getting a chance to hang out with them a little extra and mess around with them, and I hope my basketball team has a lot of fun hanging out with family and friends, and just enjoy the break, and then we'll be ready to go come the 27th.
Yeah, and your next game what's your next game?
We got
on the schedule?
January 5th.
After tonight, obviously.
January 5th, we come back. Got to go to South
Big showdown with South Hamilton.
Top 10 team. That's why I think it won't take too much to get motivated to get really to go for practices over break, because we know coming out of the gate it's the end of our first part of the conference, and we want to end on a good note. And we know South Hamilton's a very nice ball team. They're obviously winning our conference. They're a very confident team, playing very well. Obviously went to state last year, and they do things the right way. They're very well coached. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and we've got to be ready to come out and get them.
Yeah, and they'll be coming for you because you guys beat them on their court last year, and they beat you guys here.
Yep.
So that'll be an emotional game. It'll be a fun game, and
yes.
I think everybody's looking forward.
Yeah,
to it.
it'll be fun, and
good measuring stick too.
Yes.
To see where you guys are
I mean,
at.
it's win or lose, and it's not the end all. I mean, if we win, that's awesome, but we still got the whole second half, and lose. We still have chances that we might be able to get back, but we got to take care of our things, and then we want to do that so we don't have to rely on maybe some other teams having to do some things for us.
Absolutely. Well, perfect. That's all for our pre-Christmas episode of Beyond the Arc. Thanks once again for everybody tuning in. Thank you to head coach Chris Nelson for joining me. As always, have a fun Christmas and New Year's, everybody, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. Thank you.